TFL EV is brought to you by Flow Charger, maker of reliable, high-quality charging stations for your electric vehicle. Hey Jay, did you know that gas prices are at an all-time high?
Yes, I did, Roman.
And that's why we're going to be talking about the top 10 best and worst electric vehicles that are affordable that you can buy.
Okay, I'm going to hear this.
And if you guys are wondering, Jay is the producer of our podcast. And if you want to listen to the podcast, where do they go, Jay?
alltfl.com.
Perfect. Yep. That's where we like to give you choice. But let's get right into it. Now,
Let's do it.
With gas prices high, we figured that people would be interested in maybe switching to electric so that instead of going to the gas station, you can have your house be your gas station.
That's a great idea. Just charge it home every single night and you're good to go.
Now, in this video, Jay, we're going to be talking about pure electric vehicles. So not hybrids, not plug-in hybrids, just pure electric vehicles.
Got it.
And we're going to be talking about vehicles that are about $20,000 or less. Because let's face it, when you think of electric, you're going to be like, where's the Tesla? Where's the Rivian? You know, where's the...
These very expensive EVs that are not affordable for the average person.
Exactly. And I would argue that they're not affordable, but not gettable. Right?
That's also true.
Unless you have a reservation for a new Lightning, unless you have a reservation for a Rivian.
It's going to be a couple of years.
Unless you're really good friends with your Porsche Taycan dealer.
Yeah.
You're not probably going to get one of these. So these are cars that we have either owned or reviewed. And by reviewed, I mean we've driven all these.
Got it.
All right, and in typical TFL fashion, guys, we're going to go from best to worst and from 5 to 1. All right, so let's start with the best. Number 5, Jay, and I drove this car in San Francisco. I really enjoyed it. The Fiat 500e.
Ah, the Fiat 500e. Now, was it fun to drive?
It was the most fun to drive. Torquey, fun. It's up there right now. It comes in this really crazy orange color, and this is what affectionately in the business is known a compliance car. So in California, there was legislation passed that a certain percentage of manufactured cars had to be electric. So a lot of the manufacturers took traditional cars that they built as ICE cars, internal combustion engine, and electrified them. And this was one of them. And I remember at one point you could lease these things in California for like $199 a month.
Oh, it was extremely cheap.
Yeah.
And it was just one of the best bargains that you could find if you wanted a pure EV that was fun to drive.
Yeah, the downside, of course, is that, not a lot of range, about 80 miles of range.
Okay.
The upside, ton of character, really cool colors. There's this orange color, there's kind of a silver color, there's this Tiffany blue color. The interiors are really fun. They're bright and they're fun. And it's a 4-seater, so you can put your friends in it. Not great in Colorado, front-wheel drive.
No, but it's a great city car, though.
Yes.
It's fantastic for your daily commute and then coming home and still not having to worry about the range. It's actually perfect for that. And you have fun while driving it.
Yeah, and now, unfortunately, these were $7,000 cars all day long about 2 years ago, and now prices have gone through the roof, right, with used cars. I think they're finally starting to come down, but you can probably add, let's say $3,000 to $5,000 to that price. But still, at $12,000 to $15,000, it's a really good little runabout.
Yeah.
And you can charge it at home.
It's a bargain if you can get one for that price right now.
And never use a gas station.
Never.
All right.
What's next?
Number 4, the Chevy Bolt. Not Volt.
With a B, the Bolt.
Right, the Chevy Bolt. Obviously, this was General Motors' not first. The EV1 was their first electric car.
That was a long time ago.
A long time ago, yeah. But their second electric car. And the great thing about the Chevy Bolt is it's a compact car with almost 240 miles of range. Now,
that's very good.
Upside, but the downside.
No, I don't.
So it's kind of one of these, here's, good news, bad news, good news.
Okay.
So the good news is, basic transportation, affordable. They were like $30,000 new when they first came out.
Something like that, plus you get the tax break.
Plus you get the tax break, but we're not getting tax breaks here because they're used, obviously. The first owner got them. And then there was some problem with the batteries. I believe the electrodes inside the battery pack would touch and potentially set the car on fire.
There's that, yes.
So you couldn't. Yes, there's that.
There's that.
So you couldn't fully charge them if you owned one, and you couldn't park it indoors, according to the GM.
Yeah, you didn't want to keep that in your garage overnight.
No. GM issued a warning to all of their customers.
It was a recall.
Yes, but that's the good news. You hit the good news. So GM recalled them, and now they not only got new battery packs, but because you get a new battery pack, if it's an older vehicle, you lose range over time. Like, a cell phone, right? Over time,
Of course,
it loses
you lose
its
the battery strength, exactly.
So now, basically, if you can find one of the recalled ones, and they're not quite 20,000, it depends. You probably could find one for that. You can get, up to 240 miles, I believe, of range, maybe even more. Now on a fresh battery pack, and what a bargain! Once again, front-wheel drive, not a great car if you live in places like Colorado.
Yeah.
Let's face it, electric cars aren't great in Colorado. We lose a lot of range in the winter, up to 25%.
Yeah. That
All right.
happens. Okay, what's next?
We actually own this one, and this is an interesting one.
I like this one.
Number 3 is the Smart EV. But there's a key here because this car also appears on the list of worst, and I'll explain that when we get to the worst. But you got to get the older than the 2017 model.
Okay,
so like the
why?
first or second generation. I'll tell you when we get to the other part. But you don't want to get the newest one. But if you do get the old one, you'll have a hoot of a car. And you know what we did with ours? We actually tuned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got a little box and we actually plugged it into the car, and it gave it more torque and a little bit more regen.
That must have been a great little car to drive around town.
Like let's say 70 miles of range.
Okay.
We bought ours for 7,500. They're probably more now.
Probably, yes.
I actually saw one of the later ones, 2017 or newer ones, at 13,000 for sale. So it was expensive. But the problem I had with it, and it was cool, right? It had a sunroof that was completely clear.
Yeah.
They made a cabriolet, but the EV wasn't a cab, so you couldn't get the convertible as an EV. But the problem with it was it's got an extremely short wheelbase. Mm-hmm. So you're basically sitting, on the back wheels. And every time you go over a bump, you're
going to feel it.
Yeah.
But were you comfortable in it?
I was, yeah. You can move that seat way back, and it's really comfy.
And you're about, 6'2"?
Yeah.
There you go.
And there's a little bit of space, like, maybe say for a shoebox in the back behind the rear seat.
A shoebox, okay.
Yeah, so, but you can fold that passenger seat all the way flat, and then you get a lot more room. But as a runaround, you're
just
going
to run around town, pick up a few things.
I'm going to say to charge it at home at night, depending on, what your usage rates are, probably, a couple of bucks. Right?
What is it?
What more do you want? Yeah, what more do you want?
It's nothing.
All right, number 2. This is one of my favorites, actually. And we actually had this as a long-term loan. The 2017 or newer EGolf.
Ooh.
And the reason for that is the previous generation or model had only 80 miles of range, but 2017 and newer got a bump in range going up to 125. Now,
that's right.
We've driven a lot of EVs around town. And to me, 100 miles is kind of ideal, right?
Yeah.
Anything below that, and a lot of these are below that, is painful, right? Because, yes, even though you can go 80 miles, you're going to get a lot of range anxiety when you get down to like 10 miles.
And you're more than 10 miles from home.
Yeah. For a while, these things were like the bargain of the lifestyle of a century. You could get these things. They were like $35,000 cars. The dealers before, of course, COVID, they were selling these things for like $25K.
They just wanted them off their lots.
Yeah.
That was it, yeah.
Exactly. Now, of course, you can get them used in the 20 to 25K range, but definitely go for the 2017. And the best part about it, you've driven a Golf, right?
Oh, yeah, the regular Golf, not the EGolf.
Yeah, what do you think of the Golf?
It's fun to drive. It can be the ideal car.
Yeah.
Really. It's got plenty of space. It's a hatchback. You're good. You're absolutely good to go with it. And I was really sad to see the regular Golf go from the American market.
You absolutely nailed it. It's probably like the Swiss Army knife of vehicles.
You said it. You nailed it, actually.
Yeah, and
it is.
Any one of these Golfs can be your full-time car. And at 125 miles of range, you're not going to road trip it comfortably, but certainly you'll have plenty of range to go to work or whatever.
And then some.
Yeah.
And you won't have any range anxiety whatsoever.
All right, number 1, drum roll.
What is it?
My favorite car, one of my favorite electric cars, the BMW i3.
Oh, love that car.
Yeah, so there's a caveat here. I would get the one with the range extender. So
yes,
the first cars, we had a 2014 that we bought for $14,000. Those came out with either pure battery or battery with the range extender. And the range extender is this little Kimco 600cc internal combustion engine that kicks in when the battery goes below, I want to say, a few miles so that you can get to the gas station.
Right.
But you can jailbreak it, because in Europe they would kick in whenever you wanted them to. So you can, pretty easily do a software update so that you can have the...
Very interesting.
Yeah, so that way you could actually road trip them. Like I said, the first The one that we bought, they had up to about 50 miles of range. Later on, they got basically a better drivetrain, the one that's in our Mini SE, so up to about 120 miles of range. The problem is like the 2019 and newer ones are expensive.
They did get pretty expensive, and they're probably still they're climbing in price.
They could
because
be,
it's BMW.
They just discontinued it, right?
Yeah.
But look, cool
but it
doors.
did very well for BMW.
Yeah, they sold, I think I want to say over 200,000 of them.
Something like that.
So cool suicide doors.
Very cool.
Really nice interior. It's open light. It's just really fun to drive.
And it's unique looking.
Yeah.
It gets attention, and it's special.
Yeah, I mean, the whole body is this interesting kind of carbon fiber. Well, it's not complete carbon fiber. It's like carbon fiber plastic shell.
Right. But I've been in them before, and they're very comfortable.
Oh, they're crazy comfortable.
It's a very smooth ride. It's just...
Yeah, there are some downsides. You know, they got these pizza cutter wheels and tires.
Yes.
They're hard to find. There's only like one snow tire for them. The cool thing is they are rear-wheel drive. Which is, in my opinion, it's better to push a car and steer it with the front wheels as opposed to push and steer.
I think a lot of people share your opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really cool interior. And like I say, if you get the one with the range extender, Andre bought it from the company. His wife drives it to work, charges it up at night at home, never uses the internal combustion engine. Very rarely.
There you go.
Very rarely. All right. Now for the
Moving
ones
on.
that people probably are a little more interested in. The worst.
Okay. Now, I'm more interested in this one, too.
All right. Number five, another California compliance car, the Soul EV.
Yeah.
So it's a Soul that's electric.
And the Kia Soul, I really like that car.
I like the car, too.
Great car, but...
They made only one generation of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did with that car was they made it really boring. And how they made it boring is like the Fiat 500e had like oodles of torque. So you would step on it and it would be like, wow, this is fun. In the Soul EV, they really detuned it to give it range. And when I say range, I mean like 80 plus miles. It wasn't a lot.
And that was the best they could get?
Yeah. So it was, the great thing about electric cars is they're quick and they're torquey.
Right.
This thing wasn't quick or wasn't torquey.
And only 80 miles of range, so where's the added value there?
It is utilitarian.
Yes.
So you can, stuff a lot of people and things into it. But if you're going to do that, just go get yourself an EGolf. It's a much better driving experience.
Right. Kia did probably the best they could with the platform and the technology they had at the time. And that was it.
Yeah, I mean, you put your finger on it. It was a true compliance car.
Yeah,
like we got to build.
Exactly what it was.
We got to build an electric car.
We're going to take the Soul and
stick a motor in it.
There it is.
Remove the engine and call it done. I'm looking at this next one, and it's pretty controversial in its design language. Can you guess? You probably haven't driven this. Very few people have. I'll give it. It's a Honda. But which Honda? The Clarity. There was a hybrid, but the one that we're talking about is a pure electric.
And there was the fuel cell one.
There was the fuel cell one.
Right.
And the Honda Clarity electric, I want to say, had between 60 to 80 miles of range. It was really range constraint, and it had those kind of funky skirts over the rear wheels.
I get why they did it. For aerodynamic purposes, give it a distinctive look. But it just wasn't for everybody, the final design.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I would describe it is like they built your dad's Buick and made it electric. It just looked old and stodgy.
Yeah,
Interior is beautiful.
As is with most Hondas.
And they were like 35, 40,000. I haven't priced them out used. They didn't sell a lot of them, so they're very rare.
They weren't even sold in all 50 states.
No. There's
like
a California compliance car. Only
right.
California, yeah.
So there's not that many of them out there.
No. So, I would say better compliance cars, to be had. All right, number 3, and this is the one we talked about before, the Smart EV. Now I'm talking about the one that's newer than 2017, and you know why?
Why?
Because they actually gave it less range.
How did this happen?
Mercedes owned Smart, right? And the original Smart EV had like 60, 70 miles. Yeah. This thing had 50. Yeah, it's the lowest range EV that I can think of outside of like your kids.
What happened?
Little Jeep, right? The little fake Jeep.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like, was it a Power Wheel you're driving, or
I don't know.
Literally.
I don't. I think I forget the size of the battery, but I think it was either the same or smaller than the previous one. But they made the car a little bit bigger, a little heavier. So yeah, really cool looking.
But the whole point is to improve upon its core.
They gave it less range. Yeah.
Value, and that was range, and it lost a significant amount.
Yeah, now we're getting into kind of the really interesting ones. Number 2, do you remember this one? The IME, Mitsubishi.
Oh, the
IME?
Mitsubishi IME.
This was
Where to start?
This was a K car, right? A Japanese K car, which is a small little car that's specific in Japan.
For Japan only, right?
But it once again, golf cart, for the street.
Sure.
Kind of looked like that.
Golf cart with a hardtop.
Yeah.
That was pretty much even the wheel sizes.
Tiny wheels, not a lot of range. And the funny thing is, people who have them, they're passionate about them. So I apologize for all you IME fans. I mean, the name is horrible. The car is like I say, it's more of a toy. One good thing about it, it was one of the first EVs to have DC charging.
That is interesting.
Which is, pretty incredible for a car that does like 50 miles.
It's good to have, but I mean, it's nice to see that there's a community of drivers out there to help maintain them. It could become a future EV classic one day, but
All right, and the next one, maybe I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. It's the most popular EV, the first one. You can guess what it is. Nathan owns it.
Nathan owns an EV?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Bet you Ian knows what it is. Ian, what does Nathan own?
Leaf.
Nissan.
Yeah, Nissan
Leaf.
Yeah, the first generation had this issue with the bat. Well, first of all, it was hit over the head with the ugly stick, so
it was not going to win any beauty contests.
And the earlier ones, like this is early 2010, 2011 models.
About that time, yeah.
They were air-cooled batteries, and in places like Arizona, where it got really hot, batteries don't like getting hot. And on this one, actually, and also in the BMW, there's a way to judge the life of the battery by how many little clicks you have.
Okay.
And with the first generation Leaf, you can quickly get to the point where the battery replacement is worth more money than the car itself. So it would cost you, if you're down enough clicks, it'll cost you more to replace that battery, because what you do is end up with a car that originally had like 60 miles of range, but once that battery starts to go, you may be down to like 30, right? That becomes almost unusable.
30 miles of range is, you're right. It's not usable anymore.
Now, having said that, if you get one of the later ones,
yes.
Like maybe, I think Nathan's is like a 2016.
Well, the first generation was around from 2010, 2011 to about 2017?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So Nissan had a lot of time to improve, learn what was wrong, and get it up to spec.
So if you get one of the later generations, of course, and those are probably gettable for $20K.
Yeah,
those are perfectly fine electric cars. Another problem, of course, that you end up with that is that the charging on a Leaf is CHAdeMO. And CHAdeMO is going away, right?
Yes.
CHAdeMO was a standard that was developed for Japan. They're still using it.
Yep.
But here in America, I think Electrify America is doing away with CHAdeMO. They recently announced it.
Yeah, right, they are.
So you're going to be kind of stuck.
And that's the one thing you don't want. To be stuck.
Yeah. And then I always like to do a bonus.
Okay.
And this is an interesting thing for anybody who lives in California, because these cars are electric, but people don't think about them as electric, and we've driven actually all of them. So what I'm talking about are the Mirai and the Nexo. You know what makes those special? They're powered by hydrogen.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So California only. Yeah, fuel cells.
Yeah,
they're really cool.
They're fuel cell cars, but a fuel cell basically uses hydrogen, and then when it goes through the fuel cell, it produces nothing but water, and it charges a battery or powers the electric motor. So it's in essence an electric car. The downside is there's only like 50 or so hydrogen stations in California, and they have issues like the nozzles freeze to the cars. They're gas stations that also have hydrogen stations next to them run out of hydrogen.
None of those are good.
None of those are good.
And there's only, 50 you said in California?
About, give or take.
California is a big state.
Yeah. So most of them are either in San Francisco or in LA. There's some, in other places, but that's where most of them are. But the cars are really cool. I love them. Hydrogen is expensive, but with gas going up, I don't know what the current, maybe you guys can let us know what the current cost of hydrogen is, if it's very similar to gas or not. But they are really cool. I think that's a technology that I love. We actually had both the Mirai and the Nexo, so they shipped them out here from California with a full tank. We drove one of them up to Mount Evans.
Oh, that must have been really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then they shipped them back because we don't have any hydrogen stations in Colorado.
Nope.
In fact, most places in America. But if you live in LA or San Francisco, definitely look at a Mirai. They're not fast, they're not quick, but they're cool.
Well, just like the Prius, you don't buy a Prius to go fast.
Yeah.
You buy it to be for its efficiency. And same thing with the Mirai.
And you will be the only person, not just on your block,
Probably, yeah.
but in your city, unless you live in LA or San Francisco,
Yeah, right.
to own one. So there you guys have it. With gas prices, if you're looking to dip your toe in the electric world, there's our choice for the best and worst used. All, give or take $20,000, some are less, some are more. But we've owned or reviewed all of these, and now is a good time.
Now's the time as ever. Right. Go for it.
Go for it. Yeah, give it a shot. And thank you for watching. As always, check out alltfl.com for more news, views, and, of course, real-world best and worst reviews. See you guys next time. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate your help.
Thanks for coming.